Hey everyone, Alex here.
And Ella,
So happy to have you back for another deep dive with us.
if you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button.
It really does help us out, and of course you get more great content like this.
All right, so have you ever felt like you're watching a movie in fast forward?
When listening to like native English
Oh,
speakers.
yeah. It can be totally overwhelming, trying to keep up with the speed,
Yeah,
the way they blend words together.
it's like a whole other language.
It really is.
It's like a secret code.
Yeah.
So today we're going to try to crack that code.
We're going to give you some tools and techniques to decode fast-spoken English.
We're your guides on this adventure.
That's right. We've got some really interesting insights based on the research that you shared.
Let's dive in. First up, active listening.
Now, you might be thinking, isn't all listening active?
Right?
But we're talking about something a little different here.
More than just hearing the words.
Yeah, it's about tuning in to the rhythm and the intonation of the speech.
Like listening to music.
Exactly. You're paying attention to the melody, the ups and downs, the pauses. All those things contribute to the meaning.
So our brains are like detectives,
Right.
searching for clues.
Precisely. And the more we practice active listening, the better our brains get at deciphering those clues.
Even when the speech is super fast.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. How can we actually train ourselves to be more active listeners?
Oh, one great way is to start with simpler audio materials,
Okay.
like podcasts for English learners or audiobooks narrated at a slower pace.
So like easing into a workout. You wouldn't start with a marathon.
Exactly. And then as you get more comfortable, you can gradually level up.
Okay.
The key is to be patient and gradually build up your listening stamina.
It's a journey, not a race.
That's right.
Okay, so we've got our active listening ears on. What's next?
Next, we're tackling a phenomenon that makes English sound like a secret code: connected speech.
Ooh, yeah. This is the one where words kind of melt into each other.
Exactly. It's like a secret handshake for native English speakers.
Uh-huh.
And it happens because they naturally link words together so the sounds change and it becomes more fluid.
Can you give me an example?
Okay. Imagine someone saying bacon and eggs really quickly.
Okay.
What do you think it might sound like?
Maybe like bacon eggs?
Spot on. The and practically disappears.
Yeah.
It's all blended together.
That's why I could never understand what they were ordering at the diner.
Right.
It all makes sense now.
And it happens all the time. Another classic example is what do you want?
Yep.
Which often morphs into what you want.
Okay. So how can we train our ears to decipher these connected speech puzzles?
One helpful technique is to use subtitles while watching movies or TV shows.
No.
It's like having a cheat sheet for spoken English. You can literally see how the words are being blended together.
It's like visual training for our ears.
Exactly.
Okay. So we're training our ears with active listening, cracking the code of connected speech. What's next?
Well, before we move on, let's take a moment to review some key words we've encountered so far.
Oh, great idea. This will be really helpful for those who are new to English.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Okay, so we have active listening, which means really paying attention to the way someone speaks,
right.
not just the words themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have intonation,
Uh-huh.
which refers to the rise and fall of the voice.
Okay.
And finally, connected speech describes how words blend together in natural, fast speech.
Perfect. Now let's take our decoding skills up a notch and explore the concept of tone units.
Tone units. This one is all about understanding how native speakers naturally group words together to convey meaning.
Okay.
It's like reading a sentence in phrases instead of word by word.
So instead of getting bogged down trying to catch every single word, we should be listening for these groups of words.
Yes, exactly. Native speakers naturally chunk their speech into these tone units,
Okay.
which makes it easier for them to process information and for us to follow along.
Can you give us an example, like in a real sentence, because I'm having trouble picturing it?
Sure. Let's take the sentence. When I went to the store, I bought some milk. A native speaker would likely break this down into two tone units.
Okay.
When I went to the store, and then I bought some milk.
Oh, that makes it so much clearer. It's like the sentence has these like built-in pauses that guide our understanding.
You got it. Like reading a sentence with commas, guiding your pauses. And the cool thing is, once you start listening for these tone units,
Yeah.
you'll find that they're everywhere.
This is blowing my mind. So how can we practice identifying these tone units?
A great way to practice is by listening to news clips or podcasts and pausing after each sentence.
Yeah.
To identify the tone units, you can even repeat the sentences out loud.
Okay.
Paying attention to where those natural breaks and emphasis occur, it's like a workout for your brain.
I love that. So we've got active listening, connected speech, and tone units all working together to help us decode fast English. What other tools can we add to our arsenal?
Well, here's a fun one. Embrace the beautiful diversity of English accents.
Oh, yes. Accents.
Yeah.
English is spoken all over the world.
Exactly.
There are so many different ways it can sound.
Yeah, and by exposing yourself to different accents,
Right.
whether it's British, Australian, Indian, or even non-native accents, you'll dramatically improve your overall listening comprehension.
Makes sense. If you're only used to hearing one type of accent, anything else can sound super fast and confusing.
Absolutely. Think of it like expanding your ear vocabulary.
Okay.
The more accents you're exposed to, the more flexible your listening becomes.
So how can we actively seek out these different accents, aside from booking a round-the-world trip, of course?
Well, the beauty of today's world is that we have so many resources at our fingertips.
That's true.
Watching international movies and TV shows is a great way to immerse yourself in different accents.
Yeah.
And don't forget about YouTube. There are tons of channels featuring speakers from all corners of the globe.
Like a virtual passport to the world of accents. And you might even pick up some cool slang along the way.
Exactly. Learning should be fun. And don't worry if you need to use subtitles at first,
Yeah.
especially with a new accent. As you get more comfortable, you can gradually wean yourself off of them.
All right, so we're actively listening, cracking the code of connected speech, mastering tone units, and embracing the accent rainbow. What's next on our quest to conquer fast English?
Next up, we're going to focus on how to make practice more effective
Okay.
with something called short and sweet practice.
Short and sweet. Tell me more.
It's the idea that consistent short bursts of practice are more effective than infrequent marathon listening sessions.
Okay.
Think of it like a quick workout for your ears.
So instead of trying to listen to hours of English content at once, we should focus on shorter, more manageable chunks.
Precisely. Find audio clips that are around 30 seconds to a minute long.
Okay.
Ideally with transcripts so you can check your understanding.
So we've got our short clip or transcript. What do we do with them? How do we use this to level up our listening?
Here's where the magic happens. You can listen to the same clip multiple times,
Okay.
focusing on different aspects each time. For example, on the first listen, just try to get the main idea.
Okay.
On the second listen, pay close attention to those connected speech patterns. And on the third listen, try identifying the tone units.
It's like we're dissecting the audio,
Exactly.
really getting to know it.
And don't just passively listen. Repeat the phrases out loud. Mimic the speaker's intonation and really try to embody the sounds.
So it's about active engagement, not just passive absorption.
Yeah.
It's like learning a musical instrument. You can't just read sheet music. You have to play the notes.
That's a great analogy. And speaking of making connections, our next tip is all about harnessing the power of visual aids.
Visual aids. Now this, I gotta hear. How can visuals help us understand something we hear?
Well, think about it. When you're talking to someone face to face, you're not just listening to their words, you're also seeing their facial expressions, their gestures, their body language. All those nonverbal cues provide extra context and help us understand what they're saying.
Oh, I see. It's like having subtitles for real life.
Exactly. So when you're practicing your listening skills, try incorporating visual aids whenever you can.
Okay.
Watch TED Talks, interviews, vlogs,
Right.
anything where you can see the speaker and connect the words with their nonverbal communication.
Okay, so we're adding another dimension to our listening practice.
Exactly.
It's like going from a flat image to a 3D experience.
And it can make the whole process much more engaging and memorable. And before we dive into our final tool for decoding fast English, let's take a quick moment to review some key words we've learned.
Great idea. Always good to reinforce new vocabulary,
Yeah.
especially for those who are new to English.
Absolutely.
All right.
So today we've encountered words like accent,
Mm-hmm.
which refers to the way people pronounce words based on their region or origin. We also talked about transcripts,
Right.
which are written versions of spoken audio. And finally, we discussed visual aids, which are any visual elements that help us understand information.
Perfect. Now, with those keywords firmly planted in our minds,
Yeah.
let's unveil the final tool in our fast English decoding kit. Mastering. Reductions.
Reductions. What exactly are we reducing?
Reductions are basically shortcuts that native speakers use in everyday speech.
Uh-huh.
They're shortened forms of common phrases, and they're everywhere.
Okay.
Think of them as little time savers
Okay.
that make spoken English flow more smoothly.
I'm all about saving time and effort. Can you give us some examples of these magical shortcuts?
Of course, you've probably heard words like gonna, wanna, and dunno. These are reductions of going to, want to, and don't know.
Ah, so it's like learning the secret handshake of fast-spoken English. Once you know the code, it all starts to make sense.
You got it. And there are tons of other reductions out there.
Wow.
Forgive me, the list goes on and on. So how can we train our ears to catch these reductions when they're flying by at lightning speed?
Start by familiarizing yourself with a list of common reductions. Then actively listen for them in conversations, movies, songs, anything you can get your ears on. Once you start recognizing these shortcuts, you'll be amazed at how much clearer fast speech becomes.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for spoken English. This is also fascinating. I'm feeling a lot more confident about tackling fast English already.
That's fantastic to hear. Remember, it's a journey, not a race.
Right.
Be patient with yourself, practice consistently, and you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make.
And remember, everyone, if you're enjoying this deep dive, be sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It helps us keep bringing you more fascinating insights like this. We'll be back with the final part of our exploration into fast-spoken English after a short break. And we're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into understanding fast-spoken English.
It's amazing how much we've uncovered.
It's like we've been on a treasure hunt.
I know. From active listening and connected speech, all the way to those sneaky little reductions.
And the best part is it's all about empowering ourselves as listeners. We don't need to feel pressured to speak super fast ourselves.
That's such a good point. It's all about clear and effective communication. Speaking slowly and clearly is perfectly fine.
Exactly.
Especially when you're still working on your listening comprehension.
This deep dive has really highlighted that fluency isn't about speed, it's about understanding and being understood.
Absolutely. And as you continue to practice these listening techniques, you'll naturally start to pick up on the rhythm and flow of spoken English. Your own speaking might even become more fluid and natural.
It's like a beautiful cycle. The more we listen, the better we understand, and the more confident we become in all aspects of English. Now, before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of those key tools we've added to our Fast English Decoder Ring today.
Okay, great idea. First, we've got active listening.
Where we tune in to the music of English.
Paying attention to the intonation, the rhythm, not just the words themselves.
Then there's connected speech, where words do a little dance and blend together. Remember bacon, eggs.
Yes. And let's not forget about tone units.
Right.
Those meaningful chunks of speech that help us make sense of longer sentences.
And embracing the beautiful rainbow of English accents.
Yes.
Expanding our ear vocabulary.
Getting comfortable with different ways of speaking.
And to make practice more effective, we have the short and sweet technique. Using those bite-sized audio clips with transcripts to really hone in on specific skills.
And don't forget about adding in visual aids whenever we can, like TED Talks or interviews. It gives us those extra clues to help decode the meaning.
And last but not least, Mastering those sneaky little reductions
Yes,
can make a huge difference in understanding fast speech.
for sure.
This has been such a great deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new set of superpowers for tackling fast English.
Me too. And remember, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Keep practicing, stay curious, and never stop exploring the fascinating world of language.
Well said. And remember, everyone, if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe and give us a like.
Yes!
It really helps us out and lets us know what you want to hear more of.
We would love to hear from you. What are your favorite strategies for understanding fast-spoken English? Share them in the comments below.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, keep those ears sharp and those conversations flowing.